senseless person, are you willing to learn that faith without works is useless? What does it say there? What does that part mean?
Just believing ain't gonna get you there.
Just believing is probably just not enough, is it? It's what did it say? Let's read it again, Chuck. It says, senseless person, are you willing to learn that faith without works is useless? So let's talk about that. How can you know if someone says they believe, how can you know if they are a Christian or saved? Ooh, by their works? Okay. Like it. Is that the only way?
I'm not so. Your question again was, if somebody out here they just believe, how do you know that they're a Christian and in good standing with God?
Exactly.
I don't know that you can look at them and tell that.
I don't think you can either, Chuck. That's why I'm asking. So what would you need to have to kind of know that they are truly believe?
You need to know exactly what the scriptures say to get you in the right position. I think that's the reason most of the world today thinks they're going to heaven. Because there ain't too many people out here that just don't believe in God.
Exactly. I agree. Because here's the thing, if something happens really bad, health, family member, something goes wrong, what's the first thing they do? Oh, God. First thing people start saying. So I do think even if they don't think they do, they still, if it's just on belief, I thought to this point, here's the kicker. So if somebody says all you got to do is believe, if that's the truth, if that's kind of what they really truly believe, and someone tells us that, all you have to do is believe, then why do we build these big old beautiful churches, and why does everybody go to church? What's that? Mm-mm.
They just want to accept it. Believe all they need.
Yep.
Go about their way doing the way they want to. Living a foolish life.
Completely agree. And I think that is a valid point. So if somebody asks you, Steve, say, hey, all you got to do is believe, what are you going to discuss with them? How is anybody supposed to know you truly believe? I know it's just your relationship between you and God and Jesus, but shouldn't there be signs if you truly believe?
Believe in what? Believe in God? Believe in Jesus Christ? Believe in Jesus Christ having died on the cross? Believing Jesus Christ died on the cross and was resurrected? I mean, where does belief start? And I think that's the whole point. Is, yeah, if you look up and all around and you see the creation, and it's evident to you that there's a creator, if you stop your belief right there, you're, like Amy says, you're
Same as
with the devil.
Same as the demons.
Okay, we got that far. So this is the whole thing about belief. Belief involves action.
Mm-hmm.
It involves a response. How far do you have to be in that response before you're saved? Well, we read about putting on Christ or being in Christ. And where do we read that? In what context? So, even those of us who believe in Jesus Christ, that He's the Son of God, that He rose on the third day after He was crucified, there's a point at which our belief isn't doing us much good if we're not acting on it, if we're not responding through our belief. And you see in Hebrews so many times, faith and obedience, or unbelief and disobedience, are coupled together and used interchangeably. You can't decouple them.
Yeah, I agree completely. And all right, so go on with that, Dave. If someone tells you all they got to do is believe and they think they're Christians, how could you tell if somebody truly believes?
I'm gonna work on finding all the agreement that I can find with them first.
Mm-hmm.
And then work toward greater understanding for me and for them
Good.
and all. I don't think right off the bat you can tell.
Probably not. Like Chuck says, you can't look at a man and says that guy believes just by looking at him.
Well, let's line everybody up right here and point out.
And
who's
let's start going through.
You know, and if you, especially if you base it on your response, some of us might surprise to answer the question about our own selves.
Yes, it would.
I mean, I struggle, I feel so inadequate,
Mm-hmm.
completely inadequate to call myself Christ-like.
And I think that is the sign of a true Christian. You don't ever feel like you've hit this place where you're good, like you got it all down pat. You're continuing to search, continuing to live. Like Chris says, I want to bring a point like Chris says, though. I do think if you, let's say you're having this discussion and you see by their fruits, you can tell truly who people are. I feel like.
You see a lot of the most dedicated, service-oriented people out there, probably have not been baptized. I mean,
Agreed.
There's a boatload of people out there that have rejected baptism as having anything to do with their belief,
Agreed.
but they are totally dedicated to serving their fellow man.
Completely. Could be off base 100, 180. Completely the other way.
A lot of them do better at that than I do.
Yes.
We had a preacher up in Nashville years ago, and he said, you want to put your hear, believe, repent, be baptized up against some of these people on the judgment day?
Mm.
He said, we spend a lot of time studying and talking about doing.
And not
then
much
when we
doing.
leave the building,
Good segue, because that's where we're headed. I've been to Utah, went skiing out there, was on plane flights coming back, and was on the flight with some of the Mormons. There was a kid, he was young, he was probably 18, 19. He just graduated high school, could have gotten a scholarship to play hockey. No telling what he could have done with his ability. And he said they are kind of required for 2 years. They have to go somewhere completely off. He was headed like Tennessee, wherever we were headed to, Tennessee or somewhere. And he was going to be there for 2 years, and he was supposed to do this for 2 years. And I look at that dedication. Do any of us have that kind of dedication? The Mormons, let me tell you, don't think that they're even on the right track. They kind of started right, but I think they've gotten way off track. But their dedication is pretty solid. They do what they say they believe. And I was wanting to talk about that coming up next. So how do you know? How do we know Abraham truly believed? Could he have told us, hey God, I believe?
Well, we know he's got faith to put his son on.
Absolutely. Does that not show you there his true belief? I think it does show a lot, don't it? Had the knife out. He's getting ready. Is that not, that's pretty solid to me. Anybody can say they believe it. Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, so I think this whole story, completely agree with every bit of that. And I think this one story alone just kind of kicks belief only in the wind. It just kind of kicks it out the door. Could Abraham have said, Jesus, I just believe. That's all I got to do? Would we even know about Abraham if that's all he'd have done? We wouldn't have known. Would we know he's a true believer and he truly is living for God and Jesus without doing these things? I don't think so. I don't think we would truly know. Are we living what we believe? I mean, if you look in the mirror and you're leaving to go to work, do you truly believe, and are you living what you believe? Do we not get upset and stressed out over stuff that we have no control over? Yes. Stressed out today. Got car issues going crazy. I got all kinds of other things going on. I'm stressed out over it. Why am I stressed out? Don't I believe? Shouldn't I? Not be worried about things? God's going to take care of it. May not be in the way I'm thinking it's going to be. Do we believe? Are we willing to bear fruit? And what do we got to do to bear fruit? What's some of our... What is it when we go outside these four walls? What are we supposed to do? Shine as Christians. What else? The way we live should show people who we are and who we care about. What else? Should we tell others? Our whole reason for being here is so that we can learn more about who God is so that we can tell others who He is and what He can do for them. Are we doing that enough outside these four walls? No. I agree, Chuck. I don't think so either.
You know your actions, where I worked at one point, the lady, it was a new lady, and I could tell by the way she presented herself, the way she acted, the way she talked, the way she carried herself, that there was something different about her. So finally I asked her one day, I said, where do you attend church? She said, Church of Christ. I said, I knew it.
It does kind of tell
That
sometimes.
obvious
Yes.
that she was. And, you know, and that started a conversation and talking about church and the Bible and everything between the two of us. And she wasn't attending at the time,
Yeah.
but yet she still had that presence about her that
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And I think sometimes it could be the littlest of things that people see that make the most impact, you know. When you're handed that, you know, bill to pay for your car that you didn't have, you know, like you said, you're stressed out over, how do you react with that? I know,
Mhm.
do you get mad? Do you get upset? No, I know you don't love it. Oh, yeah, great.
Exactly.
Still, how do you react? And it could be that little thing that
Mm-hmm. I think me and the mechanic have that agreement, not agreement, we have that relationship to where he has seen me and talked to me enough that when he hands me the bad news, I'm not going to just go off on him and be mad and start just dogging him out. Why is my car this way and all that? And so I think the way you handle pressure, the way you handle situations, the way you handle stress, life, jobs, kids, the way you handle yourself during those stressful moments, a lot of times really show people who you are. How have those situations been for you when you've been stressed, when you've been pushed to the max? Did you handle it okay? Would somebody see what you've done and the way you acted and say, something's different? Like Sherry said, something's different about them. They handled this way different than I could imagine. Is the fruit you bear criticism, negativity? Or is the fruit you bear positive, encouragement? That's something we need to consider. We can be encouraging in here because it's like we're all kind of friendly. We all kind of know each other. We're in church. We know these people in here should have our back. But when we walk out these doors, the world don't have our back. Are you going to be the negative, the criticism? Are you going to be the encouraging, positive person? So, Dave, that was going to be my point going next forward is what is our job when we get out of here is we need to be willing to evangelize and We need to be willing to talk with and show and live who we are. Are we doing that in the right way? Are we here to police others in whether or not they're doing right or wrong? Especially in the church. I don't think so. It's not our job to police. What's our job? Maybe to tell others who Jesus is. Encourage. Yeah.
Before you get off of that, you're exactly right. We're not here to necessarily judge one another, we're here to build each other up. But I do think the elders have a responsibility to, maybe police is not the right word, but oversee.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody can do that.
Absolutely.
If I see somebody out doing something, me and that person need to have it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Chuck, I like that. Let's go to Matthew 7:3. Chris, you had something? Robbie?
No, I was gonna say, you talk about how you can identify if they're a Christian or not, simply looking at them. I think that's the whole thing, because it's written on your heart. You can't see inside somebody's heart and actually know if they have, it would be a relationship with God. And you can't see that outwardly looking.
Mm-mm.
Just like Dave said, it takes more time, and I'm not sure he said, get to know somebody and realizing it then. And I think that's kind of the whole thing, because faith without works is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side of that, I've done all these things in your name, so works won't get you there either.
True.
It's a combination of everything.
Combination of both. And I completely agree with that. Completely 100% on that. And it's one of those things to where you have that relationship, like Dave was saying. You have that relationship, you build that relationship like you're talking about, and then you get to that one stressful moment, and then you really see who somebody is, or they see who you are. I think it takes some of those moments in life. Should we break down in front of others? There's times I think it's completely normal for us to do that. You've done something that's just not done something. You've had something happen to you that's just broke you down. It's good for people to see that we're just not this Instagram page where we only put the pictures of our good life on. Because you start looking at social media, you'll think everybody has the perfect life because of these perfect pictures. They don't see all the background pictures where you're fighting and you're running late to church and you're angry and you're mad and all these things. They don't see that. So it's the relationships like Dave's talking about. You got to get to know them. All right, we're going to go to Matthew 7, look at 3. Start in verse 3. It says, and why do you look at the splinter in your brother's eye, but don't notice the beam of wood in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the splinter out of your eye, and look, there's a beam of wood in your own eye? Hypocrite, first take the beam of wood out of your eye, and then you will see clearly to take the splinter out of your brother's eye. Sometimes I think when we get into this policing thing, my thought is, is my life in perfect enough condition to where now I got to check on Chris and make sure he's living his right? Man, the people who think they need to tell others how they need to live, do they have their life completely perfect? Everything. Why do they decide now they need to go tell others, my life's so perfect, let me tell you, Chris, how you need to live your life? Man, it just seems hypocritical, don't it? Yeah, to get it. Exactly. Yeah. defensive.
But it doesn't matter who delivers the message.
Mm-mm.
If what they're saying is true, you need to take stock in that and realize, hey, I don't even like Mike, but he told me something that is true.
Mhm.
Then maybe I need to go back and talk to Mike later. Maybe thank him for pointing that out and then say, hey, brother, let me talk to you.
Absolutely.
So we can't discount.
Bruce, which is more effective? If somebody comes to you, Mike comes to you about something you got going on, he's got this huge beam in his eye, and he comes to you and says, hey, Bruce, you got this little splinter in your eye, and you accept it and say, hey, I appreciate you telling me. Or, hey, ma'am, what about that beam in your own eye? Which is going to be more effective for God, for you as a Christian, to be able to talk to them with? I think being the humble, saying, okay, I appreciate it. I think that's something I need to consider. Now, Chuck was talking about, the elders and all that. I think that's a whole nother issue. We're talking outside, talking to people. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. I think they should be watching out for, false, all the stuff. They need to kind of do that. That's a whole different issue. You, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Dave, you had a point?
You think about how the best coaches coach. They don't coach by telling you how not to play. They coach by telling you what to do, what not to do. You know it in the building business. You got a spec book. That spec book does not tell you what not to do. It tells you what to do. And every once in a while, there'll be a blurb in there that says, do not do this. And it's those times when it's the most likely place for you to mess up, it'll say, do not. But most of the time, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, and it's all about getting the building built.
Mm-hmm.
But it's written in positive terms, not negative terms. You can't, that's what we've said since I was a little kid about what we use on the Lord's table. Doesn't say you can't put Pepsi and hamburgers up there. I've heard that since I was a little bitty guy. Well, that's right. It doesn't say you can't put Pepsi and hamburgers up on the Lord's table. But it leaves us an example of what Jesus did and what the disciples did. Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward.
Yes, I agree. Any other thoughts? We do.
Our responsibility to the world is not to go out here and start, we're not responsible for how they're not living out there. Our responsibility to the world or somebody that's lost is just to share the word.
That's it.
Not to, now, we have a responsibility to one another. If I'm doing something openly wrong, you better come talk to me.
I agree.
Or you don't care about it.
Those things, especially in the church. We're family. We need to keep each other as effective members who can go out without recourse and without blame or issue to be able to talk to others. And I think that's a good point. We need to be able to talk to each other in that way.
But our responsibility to the world is not to point at everything they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Share the gospel.
Yeah. We're not here to police.
And that, that will hopefully bring on further conversations to where, hey, if you're gonna make this decision, there probably are some things you're gonna have to change.
Mm-hmm.
But, if my opening line with you is shame your head to hell,
Not long. I'm not going to hear much you say, I can tell you that.
And I shouldn't say that to somebody I don't.
Mm-mm. Not if you want them to listen.
Not any love.
Yeah.
You know, all through the Bible, we have lessons on being a shepherd. The Bible never says anything about being a sheepdog. And, you know, they have the same place, the same job, just protect the sheep, but one's done in love, and the other's done by barking and nipping at them.
Mm-hmm. How does a shepherd get his sheep to certain places? He leads them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Good points. Any others on that?
I'll piggyback off what Bruce said right there. If there's somebody out here in the world that I know and I'm concerned with, but they're not a Christian, but they're just drinking way too much and their health's starting to suffer,
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna go to that person, if I care for him, and he's close, and say, hey, I'm really concerned with your health, where you're going. But if Shane's in the bottle, that discussion's different, and I know.
Way different, yeah.
Now I'm really concerned for your soul.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point. And do we care enough to be that considerate when we're going to talk to somebody? Or are we more worried about policing? Sometimes I think we just kind of get to pointing instead of trying to lift up.
Well, you know what they say about pointing. When you point at somebody with one finger, you got 3 pointing
Back.
And there is a lot of times, and you really try to point out people's mistakes. You leave it open for them to start pointing back at you.
Mm-hmm.
They do it hatefully.
Yes. Now, if somebody, Bruce was talking about him and Mike. Mike's got the beam. He points to Bruce. You got the splinter. And if Bruce can humbly accept it and say, hey, I need to change, you're right. And he can accept that. As hard as that is sometimes for us to take criticism and to take things like that and to say, you're right, I need to self-reflect, I need to look at that. Do you think he has a better chance of maybe Mike coming back one day saying, hey, I got this beam in my eye, we need to talk about it a little bit. I know I talked to you. Maybe you didn't blow up at me. Maybe you're somebody I can confide in and see you're somebody that actually cares about me enough. You actually looked at what's wrong with you. I think that goes a huge distance.
Would you be surprised if a fellow say, hey, buddy, I see you got that speck in your eye. You reckon you could help me get this beam out of mine?
Yeah. Good. More than likely. More than likely. Any others on that? All right, let's go on to the next. Some other topics. Why do we have to go to church even on vacation? Oh. Okay. Yeah, but I don't think you understand.
You don't have to go to church even on vacation. You just don't.
Don't have to.
You don't
Good
have
point,
to.
Dave. But hey, God knows we need a vacation, Sherry. He knows we need a vacation, right? It's a good point. That's a very valid point.
You ever visited someplace and you come away really glad you were there?
Yeah. I had somebody come to me and they were like, hey, why are you going to church Sunday morning? Because your family's here. You know, you need to spend time with your family. They're not going to be here long. I'm like, as nice as that sounds, that's good, but I have to go to church. And it called me out. I said, I have to go to church. And it made me realize what I said, and I've changed the way I say it now. So instead of saying I have to go to church, because now it sounds like if I don't go, I'm going to be punished, it's negative, something, there's a negativity about I have to go.
If you don't go, your tongue's going to be hanging out by Saturday.
Somebody's going to string me up.
That happened to me. I took a second shift job. And I'd grown up always being there, right? And Wednesday nights, one of the times when we're most relaxed and open and conversing with one another. And here I was missing Wednesday nights. I lasted 2 months and just couldn't do it anymore. I thought, I'm just going to Bible study on Wednesday night too much. I just could not do it. My tongue was just like, I I was like exhausted. I was thirsty by the time the next gathering time
Came
rolled
around, yeah.
You know, yeah, you do have to go. Because it's good for you to be there. And there's no telling what you'll miss if you do miss.
I agree. I've changed the way I say it, though. I'll either say, I have to go, but it's because I want to go. And that changes everything, because then I can turn around, and how do you ask somebody who's asked you something? You turn around and you ask them that question. Why do you not want to go to church? I have to go to church because I want to go to church. I want to go to church. Why don't you want to go to church? You think it's going to make them really second guess why they're not going to church? It did. The very person that asked me had decided maybe there's something to that. Maybe they called me out, because when I got called out, I was sitting there thinking about, like, you're right. It is not a have to go, but it is a I want to go. But why don't you want to go? Why are you not wanting to go? Say again. Need to go. Got it?
Canteen's almost dry.
Got it. You're thirsty. Canteen's almost dry. Just like these phones have to be recharged. We need to be recharged with the things out of the Bible and God and Jesus. The fellowship we have here, we need this. Yeah. 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 Hoops to get there, yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, that means something.
And if you got little ones, they're watching.
Well, it's coming. Don't get ahead of me, Chuck. You and that knee still pretty quick. Hang on.
Hey, I'll tell you a quick one. Last Wednesday, I was in Gainesville, Georgia. Got into town just in time enough to take a right instead of a left and run out to where I found a little church. Went in the door, and Ricky Shanks was standing up teaching class. And I think there's quite a few people in Birmingham that know him. It's the second place I've run into him. The first time was at Monk's Corner over near Charleston, probably 15 years ago. And that was the first time I ever met him, though I was familiar with his name.
Mm-hmm.
Then I walk into this other little congregation hundreds of miles away. There he is, up there teaching a Bible class.
Isn't that something? All right, so here's some of the things we're going to talk about. What are some of the reasons of why you go to church during vacation and trips? I'm going to come up with some of these. If y'all have one, let's discuss it too. Provides regular encouragement and teaching. It's being consistent, like Jojo says. Being consistent. Somebody sees you doing it on vacation instead of going to the beach, being in the sun, ski trip. You're not going down the slopes today. You're instead going to church. Consistent. Well, people see that. Maintains fellowship, meeting others, strengthens faith and accountability. You think it don't make you more accountable when you go to church? Makes you accountable. I feel it. When we go to church outside, somewhere else in another congregation, it makes me feel accountable. First of all, I feel better going there. I hear something sometimes that's just amazing that I'm like, all right. Let's keep going. Offers a chance to worship in a new context. Things done a little different by different people we don't know. Sometimes can create a spark in you that you just like, you see something a little different. Things done a little different, puts you on edge. You're a little more kind of like trying to pay attention because it's not the same way we do things. It's not the 2 songs and a prayer and do this. It's a little different. Hey, it makes things, makes you pay attention more. It connects us with local believers. What if we need help? We're out of town somewhere, and we've been to church with somebody, and hey, now we have no idea who anybody is in this town, and we call the local church after we've done met somebody at a local church. You think they're going to be uplifted because they can help you? And how much uplifted you'll be that they can help you. Supports local churches with your attendance. There's churches we go to. There's one Sunday mornings we go to sometimes for Sunday school. There's probably not 7 to 10 people. And when we get there sometimes during the summer, there'll be 20, 25 people there. It is encouraging to that church. It's encouraging to them and the people there. Jackson goes to a church sometimes on Wednesday nights. How many people, Jackson? 6. When they see him, the average age is probably 70-something, even when he's there. But they get encouraged when he's there. It just does something. Ultimately, let your children see the importance in prioritizing while traveling, while doing things outside the normal day-to-day life. I think that completely makes a prioritization of importance of what's important in your life and what you're going to do. And it lets your kids see it. It lets other people see it. Anybody got anything else? All right, thank you for your time.
Good evening. So I guess I was technically supposed to have invitation next week, but, you know, Chuck went lame in the knee, so Lanny texted me last night and told me we were going to swap, so this might be a little shorter than usual. So I guess a lot of you probably know, but Adam and Monica just bought some property in Trafford, and it's really, it's pretty. There's some fields on it, but the best part about it is there's a big ridge that kind of overlooks his fields. And we like to go up there and just kind of sit and just hang out or whatever. So Adam messaged me yesterday. He was like, "Hey, you want to come sit on the property and just hang out?" I was like, "Well, sure." So I get off work, whatever, we go up there, and we're just sitting up there talking about life, hanging out, enjoying nature, and it's just the green grass and everything like that, and you can see all the way across the river, and it's just really beautiful. And of course, it reminded me of this verse. It says, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse." And so it's pretty simple to look out in nature, look out in creation, and see that God exists. We have an awesome God. He created everything that you can see and everything that you can't see, and that's amazing. But, and like we've been talking about in the class upstairs, with the big picture of the Bible, so it's a pretty simple concept to understand, is that those things are amazing. But what the most amazing thing about God is that He wants a relationship with us. He desires that relationship, and He sacrificed Himself. It didn't cost Him anything. It cost Him everything to want that relationship with us. Not that we're so worthy of that sacrifice. I mean, we're nothing. But God loves us and wants that relationship with us. And we should respond with that same love and show Him that love that He gave us. And so that's the invitation tonight. If you've never shown that love to God, if you haven't desired that relationship, we want you to desire that relationship with God. If you've never done it, all we want to do is what God says, and it's as simple. And it's not because of what we're doing; it's because it's what God said. And it's just like with the water up here. There's nothing special about the water. It works because God said it works, and all we want to do is just do what God says. And it's not our power; it's God's power. And so, if you've never desired that relationship, we want you to desire that relationship with God. And if you had that relationship, and you've, as we say, fell on the wayside and you want to come back, we hope that you'll do that tonight. Would you come as we stand and sing?
Why keep Jesus waiting, waiting in the cold? He will bear you gently, gently to His fold. See Him slow and open, I am Lord. Why keep Jesus waiting, waiting at the door? All the knockers softly, softly o'er and o'er. Hear Him slow and open, I am Lord. Why keep Jesus pleading, pleading at the door? He would be your Savior, ever and evermore. Love Him so and open, I am Lord. Why be Jesus waiting, knocking at the door? Soon He'll cease His pleading, yes, forevermore. Come, poor soul, obey Him, I am Lord. Please be seated.
Jordan will lead us in our closing prayer, and then we'll have a few announcements.
Dear God, thank you for this day you've given us, and thank you for letting us come here tonight and learn and worship about you. Thank you for the rain you've given us, and please help the sick and the poor and the people in need, God. Please help everybody that needs you right now. In Christ's name, amen.